Shri Radhe, Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai 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 Shri Radhe, Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai 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 Shri Radhe,
Jai Shri Gurudev.
I think that my preaching and coming together is so successful. From beginning from children, girls, sons, young persons, old and senior, all came to my classes and prayed so much. They became so much inspired. Also they inspired me. Like Parikshit Maharaj inspired Sukadeva Goswami and those Sukadeva Goswami. Inspired all the devotees who are here in Shambhala. So I'm so much happy. I'm especially happy that the devotees were not chanting. They give up chanting, taking wine or some other bad thing, unwanted thing. They have given up. Now they have some inspiration, chant, to follow the path of their Guru. That is why I am so happy. I want that in Bhajar should be a very famous place of devotees. And from beginning, all the children of Bhajar should be taught. Also, the school should be there. Even very soon, the school should be there. All boys and children should learn, also study, and also Vande Ham Sri Guru Namo Ham Vishnu Padaya, and doing and chanting little. Even one round, it will have very good effect. Then they will not be bewildered here. So, I have so much affection for all. All are now energetic. I want that all hearts can be developed in Krishna consciousness. We don't want any single price that is dollars or anything. We want to have this. If coming easily, then we can engage in Krishna service. Otherwise, we want that our hearts should be developed, and we should weep for Krishna. More weep for Srimati Radhika. Tavai Vashmi, Tavai Vashmi, Tavai Vashmi, Najivami Tvaya, Iti Vijnana Radhika, I cannot live without you. Never, never, never. So please give your mercy to me. Sprinkle your mercy. I am only yours. Even Krishna will call, oh come on. And I will say, no. I am going to serve my Aradhya Devi Srimati Devi. Then Krishna will be more happy. But oh, she wants to love. This was the object of Mahaprabhu to come to this world. But be careful for Mayavad. But I think here no Mayavad. But it may be in other centers. Be very careful for offensive. Don't criticize anybody. Whatever he is doing, let him do. But you should not do anything. He may abuse you. He may do anything. But if he is chanting, remembering Krishna, then don't take his anything. But you can do that. You can have, you should not have his association, but don't criticize. Like I don't criticize anyone. But if there is difference of Siddhant, no compromise. You can have some honor. In Siddhant, no compromise. Like Swamiji, like my Gurudev, more strict than thunderbolt, no compromise. But behavior should be sweet. Like Swamiji used to play with very little boys, I've seen, who was so merciful. Our Guru Maharaj was so strong. But in his old age I have seen that he became like boys, all junior disciples of my Guru. They used to be on his court and to do like them. All like here sometimes they do to me. Have tolerance. If anyone is doing like this and you'll at once be angry, no. If you want Krishna prema, be very grave. Be tolerant. Trinadapi suniche tarorapi savesnuna amanina madre kritaniya sadani. If you want to chant Krishna with love and affection, then at once, quickly, have a qualification like Trina, gross, more than gross. If you keep your feet on that, it will go down, but when you will take your feet up, then they will again. But Vaishnava are more than that. The grasses are not intelligent and not like human senses. But Vaishnava should be more. Tolerance than more than tree. You know that Krishna is glorifying to Baldev Prabhu the qualities of trees. Always giving shade. He had no no partiality. Anyone has come to cut that tree, but he can see it in his shade. His bark, his roots, his juice, his leaves, flowers, fruits, wood, everything is for others, not for him. And if a man has come to cut the tree and he is giving some stone, he will give fruit. So Trina the api sunichena taror rapi savisunna. What is the meaning of taror api? More than tree. And then judge your heart. In how deep water you are. What is the meaning? You should compare with trees. Have you tolerance like that? Have qualities to give everything to devotees or anyone? Like trees, no partiality. Trees never criticizes anyone, never does any offense. I think if any fruit, any devotees will take, and he will go there and he will have some shade there. Anyhow, he will take any service from that tree. Quickly he will be a pure devotee in his next life. Sure. So we should try to be like that. This life is so precious, so precious. Again we will be human body or not. So quickly from today, we should try to go to any Guru Vaishnava qualifier, be associated, and then initiated, and begin your services from today. Because Parikshit Maharaj has 7 days, we have no 7 days. Any day we can go, just now we can go. So from today, we should give them unwanted things very strongly, chanting, remember. What I gave in 7 days here, I was not in a position to speak 2 times, 3 times, 4 times what I was doing in these old days. I have nothing to gain from you. You cannot give me anything. Only you can give inspiration to speak. If you are giving some money, what I will do? No, nothing. You cannot give anything more. You can give me some clothes or anything, utensil, computer, but I don't know how to. If anyone gives, I will tell you, oh, Govinda Prabhu, you should take it and do something or anything. So I want only this thing, pure hearts, that I can help them, and they should quickly follow Swamiji, Guru Parampara, and thus serving Radha Krishna conjugal or Sri Chaitanya. These are my finishing words. I cannot tell anything more than that. But I have so much affection for you all. Without any guilt and selfishness, nothing. Nirgun Prabhu, Govinda Prabhu, Madan Prabhu, Brajendra Prabhu has dragged me here and have come. I want again and again. It may be I cannot tell so much, but I will like to come here to see how my boys and children are. How I nourish some seeds that Swamiji had planted. And also I have now sowing seeds. So I must come to see and to again some knowledge. So this will be very strong. Whether children or bigger one, always try to honor all Vaishnavas who are chanting